Okay, so I got my gym line control today for the little baby Frigidaire. It is a GC502. As you can see, there was a whole range of universal replacement controls. Lots of adapters for different kinds of shafts and knobs. In our case, we're going to be using the threaded adapter shown here. These three are all for Frigidaire applications. And we're going to use this YR bracket. You have to bend your control to use those YR brackets. We've got to bend this tab and lift the control out, or that front plate, and put this one in and bend the tab back. And that plate will match these screws right here in this cover. You can see here on the back that the various different universal controls came with different brackets, which I have some extras of these. I've saved all that kind of stuff over the years past. Got lots of the adapters, shaft adapters. Different configurations, change a lot of different controls. Too bad Gymline's not still around making all these. Bag full of adapters there. Alright, so I'm going to take this mounting bracket off. It shows in the instructions, I hope. These are nice and flat, so that should straighten it out decent. I'll have to go a little beyond straight, maybe. There we go. You gotta be careful about kinking your tube, but it can be bent. Now we gotta be able to get this pressed back in, hopefully. Should probably had a bigger screwdriver ready, but that's not coming off. I'll have to get this bent back out of the way more for now. Okay, those holes aren't quite far enough apart. Or maybe it has to go a certain way, doesn't it? Alright, since this is only fitting one way, that should work out. It's got the wires down like they were before. If this is facing the front, the notch to line up the control with, like it was before. But I gotta not put that on there till the set screws are in and the knobs lined up, so off is lined up with that. Set screws are pretty small. Alright, so we know we're going to have our wires down and our off should be 90 degrees here. So I've got the set screw started. Got Got our shaft adapter that's splined and male threads there. Got our wires pointing down, which means off should be straight 90 degrees from them, about right there. I'm going to try and hold it there and find those set screws and start to snug them up some. Still close? Not like I wanted to be. They'll let it move. That's pretty close, maybe. And the other set screw. Some of them have little spline adapters that go in a spline female hub with a little spring clip on the Rankos, I believe. They're not too bad either. These set screw ones work pretty good. Snug them up pretty tight. The thing you want to remember later is don't force the control past off and such, because you only have 2 set screws keeping it from rotating too far and coming loose. Yeah, that should be the right way. So that should be off all the way that way. I assume the height from here to here hopefully matches. Although this knob will fit on the other Frigidaire adapter. And the old control, well, it was anyway. It'll fit in an 832 thread tap pretty good. It and the correct one with the splines both measure about 5 thousandths wider on the outside of the thread than the original control. But I don't know if the end of this adapter's messed up or if it's just too big enough. It won't go on. The thread die doesn't want to start on, but yet it measures about the same as this one, and it goes right on. Fun. I must have missed the record button here, but I ended up using the 832 thread die and chasing the threads on this adapter that wouldn't fit, and after that I got the knob to go on. Alright, I measured how much of the old control capillary was unwound. It was right at about 4 foot. The gym line instructions do say, I don't know how good you guys will be able to read it here, that this serpentine for Frigidaire is not required with their control. They say to bend it like this over here. 2 3/4 inches is considerably longer than the clamp that holds against the evaporator on this little Model 44. So I'll have to decide. As long as it fits flat, it won't matter. They're talking about bending a fair amount up. Usually you need, on most of these controls, about 6 inches at least in contact of the medium you're trying to sense. So since I've got the bench here, it'll make it a little easier, but I'm going to just try and unwind this halfway straight for now. This capillary is much longer than the original control, so I'm going to have to make it do that. I'm going to go a little more than 4 foot. I'm probably going to be taking the extra something round and smaller without kinking it, so I can fit it up inside the cabinet easier. That's not perfectly straight. On these older refrigerators where your light's powered from your control, one half of the light circuit, that's on the power coming in the control. You want to keep it there, or each time it gets cold enough and the control goes off, there'll be no power for your light. I put a tire wrap around these two just to keep them together so I'd know. New control does not have screw connections. I'll have to either put spades on, straight connectors on these wires, or use the adapters that came with the control. Getting it too good. There we go. Alright, so I've got it from the hole where the control opening goes up through here again, like it was. Now I gotta get it back through next to this refrigerant line. Actually, I guess I wanted to put the plastic tube after I get it through there anyway. Should have watched my videos of how I took it apart better first. More than that. People who've worked with copper tubing and stuff, like I have for a long time, we're a little bit used to the feel of it starting to kink. Alright, I'm fixing to see if I can bend the loop the way Jim Lang recommends. I've got my 1/4 inch, 5/16 and 3/8 drill bits. I've got it marked at 1 3/4. That's wrong. It should be 1 1/4 for the first part. That's quite as tight as they expected or not. We'll find out. Or from Not counting the loop, but from where it gets straight, it should be 1 3/4. And then we need the 5/16 drill bit. Try and position it so it ends up me, it looks like I'm coming up wider than their picture shown. We'll see. Needs to be about 5/8 across here in the end to fit in the grooves of the evaporator decent. Not too bad so far. Now the next measurement is 2 1/4, and that's not counting the loop starting here. One, 2 1/4, huh? Now we need something 3/8 round. Looks to be about like Jim Line wants it. Oh, and we're about 5/8. Not bad. Hopefully that's gonna work good. Alright, it looks like by the time I get this back up behind the line, bit back around, I'm going to need a little more capillary than I've got straightened out so far. Plus I've still got to get it tucked up in the corner here. Actually going to have to be bent somewhat close to the sloop probably to clear. Thanks. Maybe a little closer than that. That looks like it might be pretty good. I'm sure I had my head in the way there. and back towards the back like that, loop up around kind of like it did before. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can start the screw through here. Which should go up there fairly nice. It's not real tight yet, though. It should be fairly centered vertically. Now it's getting snug a little, not super tight. Tight, good, looks like. I've got just a little too much, looks like, maybe. There. That was behind the suction line before too, now it is again. Might have made it lay back a little bit better. Getting close, but I want to, like I said earlier, make that smaller so I can tuck it back in here easier. When I get done with this control, I want the wiring terminals pointed down, but I do not want the capillary tube shoved in here next to the wiring terminals. I want it to go up if I can at all. So the first thing I'm going to do is a nice 180 near the control. Careful not to kink it at its support there. Now that should keep it away from the electrical terminals. I've got a deep well socket. It's about 1.25 inches on the outside. I can loop that over this way and then back. So I want to kind of end up with it right above the control loop I'm making if I can. I said, I want to end up with the wiring pointed down. I want this to be able to fit up in there if I can without screwing up a bunch of insulation. So I've pulled it down a little up here, but that's alright because I'm going to try and put this coil up in here, and that's going to come back up. Should. That coil's small enough, I can work it back through the hole. Should be able to get it to go in there pretty decent. I'm going to have enough here. Yeah, a little stretch there, no problem. It's actually pulling it tight against. I'll have enough here, looks like. Time to get the wiring adapters on. Alright, I don't know if I can get in here and do this with the camera in the way, but we'll see. These are the adapters you get with the control. Use plenty of them like it. I use them on thermostat wires sometimes rather than trying to crimp it in the connector of the solid wire, and you're going to get a good connection in. I'm going to grab hold of it with the needle nose so it isn't twisting. Make sure I've got it snug. Same thing on the other one. We just got two wires on it because of the light circuit. Let's see, they got two little points to locate. Hopefully having the wire straight down won't keep it from going in the hole. Now I have to get rid of that tie wrap. Alright, now I gotta see if I can get these plugged on there. Nice and snug. They are going to be quite a ways back in there, so there's nothing around them but fiberglass. Shouldn't need a whole lot of insulation, I wouldn't think. I don't know if you can see any of it, but lighting is not very good back there, but it's quite a ways back there. That should be at the front, the indicator. Let's see if I can. That one started, I think. Got lucky there. started. Do this. Oh yeah, that puts terminals quite a ways back. Now I need to put this on. Let's see. Okay, so that should be all the way off. Line up off with the indicator. My fiber washer spacer that's going to make the white knob fit tight. All the way to the coldest. Wonder if it works. You never know buying an old control like this. When I was working it off and back on, I don't know if it's supposed to have a dedicated off position. I think it was a little sticky, so it may need a little break-in. Alright, I've got it plugged in. Since I don't have the trim in and the light switch working for sure, I've got the bulb out, so it won't be going. We're going to go from off and see what happens. Immediately fired up. That's a good sign. A lot of controls, about middle of the controls where you want to be, but when they put letters and numbers both, let's see, yeah, that's about halfway. Number 2 is. Just gotta wait and see what happens now.